It tends to appear in ordinary moments. A voice carries a little too far from the next room. A door closes with more force than necessary. A conversation shifts, almost without warning. Nothing is actually happening to you, at least not in any obvious way. Still, your body reacts. Before you've decided how you feel about it. Your shoulders tighten, your attention sharpens. You start noticing details you weren't looking for a second ago. From the outside, this can look like being tense, or withdrawn, or unusually quiet. Sometimes it's described as being too sensitive, or as someone who holds on to things longer than necessary. But from the inside, it doesn't feel exaggerated. It feels precise, as if you're responding to information others don't register. If this recognition lands somewhere familiar, it doesn't point to something being wrong. It points to something learned early and kept close. Many people grow up assuming that raised voices are temporary, that anger passes, that a bad moment will be followed by some kind of repair. In that world, conflict is unpleasant but contained. Silence doesn't mean danger, and unpredictability doesn't carry much weight. But when fear or violence was present early on, the baseline shifts. Tone begins to matter more than content. Timing becomes meaningful. The space between words starts to feel loaded. This doesn't usually create louder adults. More often, it produces quieter ones. People who watch closely, who pause before speaking, who seem to sense changes in a room before anyone names them. It's sometimes called hyper-awareness, sometimes vigilance. But those words can sound heavier than the experience itself. Often it just feels like paying attention. Long before there were words for what was happening, the body was already adjusting. Heart rate, breathing, muscle tension. Later, the mind might understand that the danger is no longer present, but the body doesn't always update at the same pace. So reactions arrive early. Explanations come later. Sometimes much later. Socially, openness is often treated as the default. Speak quickly, say what you feel, address things head-on. For many people, that comes with little risk. Discomfort, maybe, but not threat. For someone shaped by early instability, that same openness can feel costly. Not morally, physically. Pausing before responding isn't strategy, it's sensing. Choosing silence isn't disengagement, it's timing. Avoiding certain conflicts isn't confusion about boundaries, it's familiarity with escalation. From the outside, this can resemble distance, or reserve, or a lack of emotional warmth. Inside, there's often a lot happening. It just doesn't rush forward. Some people learned that emotions could move freely without consequence. Others learned they needed to be contained. Neither way announces itself as an adaptation. They just feel like personality. There's also another side to this, because not all caution comes from clarity. Sometimes it comes from pain that hasn't had a place to settle. In those moments, distance isn't about observation, it's about safety. And it can be hard to tell the difference from the inside. When you pull back, is it because you're listening carefully, or because part of you still expects something to go wrong? That question doesn't demand an answer. It just lingers. What often goes unnoticed is that many people who grew up around violence aren't disconnected. They're attuned. They notice patterns. They value consistency. They tend to care more about meaning than display. They might choose fewer relationships, not out of lack, but selectivity. They may prefer depth that unfolds slowly. This isn't necessarily fear of closeness. It can look more like a preference for steadiness, for knowing where things stand. In environments that reward emotional boldness, this quieter way of moving can seem out of place. But it carries its own logic. Not louder, not better, just shaped by different conditions. Some people learn trust through being held. Others learn it through watching. Neither path explains itself. It just shows up. If any of this resonates, it doesn't mean your past is a sentence. It means something was learned and remembered. In the next video, we'll stay with this idea a little longer, looking at how early unpredictability can quietly influence someone's relationship with control and freedom. Not to solve it, just to notice it. I wonder which moments make you most aware of your own reactions. Not to change them, just to see them as they are.